Fart was kind of like an explosion. I see black smoke going in the air. Like it was big enough to shake everything in my house.
We need the fire department here now. Our plant just blew up.
Big explosion turns into a deadly fire in Columbus, waking up residents, causing a flood of 911 calls the moment it happened, caught on ODOT camera.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us here at NBC4 at 5 o'clock. I'm Darlene Hill.
And I'm Brad Johansson.
People living in the neighborhood started calling the fire department around midnight, and crews rushed over to the Yenkin Majestic Paint Factory. It's located there on Leonard Avenue.
And tonight we bring you team coverage. NBC4 investigates Jamie Ostroff looking into past OSHA violations at the factory.
But first, we're going to start it off with NBC4's Dan Perlman, who joins us now live. He's out at the scene, has been all day out there, and you've had a whole lot of company because it's still a very active scene.
Well, you know, Darlene and Brad, police are here, firefighters are here. The Yenkin Majestic paint plant works with a lot of chemicals, and that is why crews say this private cleanup company is here as well on the heels of this explosion that was felt miles away and the fire which left one man dead. We can see it on this video from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Fire and smoke shooting into the air shortly after midnight. Henry Reif heard it and felt it in his home.
It's terrifying when you hear that big boom and everything's shaking in the house, you know, because you don't know what's happening until you go outside.
Outside is where he saw the flames.
But just when you think it was going down, it kept coming back up, and every time it came back up, it was more darker and more intense.
Firefighters say they were called here on the report of an explosion that turned into a 2-alarm fire. In total, 8 people, including 2 who were trapped in the building, were taken to the hospital. Crews telling me all 8 are stable, but early this morning, 1 man was missing. Within a few hours of daybreak, Wendell Light's body was discovered. Crews say he was partially covered in rubble. No word on what caused the explosion and fire.
There's no reason for us to believe at this point that it was anything malicious.
That, as Battalion Chief Steve Martin says, the next steps are to make sure the chemicals here are secure.
Once we secure all the chemicals in it, we know that there's no hazard that way, then we work about the building not coming down on us. And then once that's done, then we can get in there and start looking for blast patterns and all the other things that we do to determine exactly where it started.
Now, Chief Martin says the Yenkin Majestic Paint Corporation has been very cooperative today. The company's CEO, Andrew Smith, issued a statement that reads in part, as a family-owned company, we are focused right now on the family of the deceased, Wendell Light, and the health and well-being of our injured colleagues and their families. Our thoughts are also with our neighbors that were impacted by this incident. Now, it goes on to say that the company is in communication with their colleagues to let them know what's next and to support them in any way needed. Local for you in Columbus, Dan Perlman, NBC4.
Dan, thanks. And NBC4 investigates now looking into the history of Yenkin Majestic Paint Factory here in Columbus.
NBC4's Jamie Ostroff joining us live in the studio with more on what you have found out about this company.
Yeah, I dug through records for the Occupational Health and Safety and Health Administration, rather. Sadly, this isn't the first time an employee there has died on the job. According to those records, an employee received an electric shock in 2011 when he was plugging his forklift into charge, and he died 6 days later. Inspectors found 2 serious violations with the charging area for that forklift, and the business paid a $1,500 fine. Now, this was not the only fine Yenkin Majestic Paint has paid. A complaint later in 2011 triggered an investigation that revealed a violation for an unsafe ladder and incomplete logs for work-related injuries. The company settled for just under $6,000 total. And then in 2012, another inspection revealed 15 violations, most of them considered serious, and they were regarding inadequate safety management procedures for dealing with highly hazardous chemicals. The company paid more than $76,000 in fines after settling. A follow-up inspection 2 years later found no violations. And finally, in 2015, the company was cited for unsafe storage of materials. They paid just under $5,000 to settle that. According to OSHA records, there have been no inspections at Yenkin Majestic Paint since then. The company's CEO said today he is working with OSHA. He is cooperating with those investigators to get to the bottom of what happened overnight.